And listen, they don't even for the custom controllers, put it into to Design Labs. Let us figure it out. You don't even have to package the goddamn thing. All you got to do is just put it in there, say, hey, there's a new controller that's inspired by Avowed, and slap Avowed on it, and people will buy it. Again, it's one of those marketing things that really scratch your head with who's running the show. And folks, listen, I know I'm long in the tooth, but Microsoft, you know where my LinkedIn is. Give me an email, and I'll make some money for the corporation.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and yes, today we got that salt, that mine that we're getting the salt from. It doesn't stop, and as you've seen from the opening there, the delusion is running at an all-time high here. So these guys apparently have some serious power if they're going to think that some emails are coming their way from executives. But that being said, let's jump right to the salt, and without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. All right, so straight off the cuff here, we're going to still revisit the Astrobot scenario in regards to being a game of the year for multiple outlets and individuals out there. Some people still can't help themselves and they just can't stand it. So we have none other than somebody I haven't really featured on this channel, but we have to bring it back up here. Chaos the Gamer here. Astrobot wins Game of the Year. Biggest scam of the year. Of course, TGA 2024. Rigged, as he tags them in there, basically. Yes, again, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Are we really trying to say that it's rigged? The panel that's on the Game Awards, we know who's there. We know what's going on. They still haven't gotten over it. It's rigged. I'll tell you what. Xbox games, Indiana Jones, whatever other game that's coming out, Avowed, whatever's coming out for Xbox that's considered a first-party game, I got some news for you. 2025 is not going to be any different. We have Monster Hunter Wilds, and more than likely, unless it gets delayed, we're going to have Grand Theft Auto 6. Between those two games alone, folks, we're looking at one of those being Game of the Year, unless something comes out that maybe perhaps I missed. Let me know down in the comments, of course, but it's not looking good for you either. So we'll continue to see and check in with these fanboys on if the Game Awards are still going to be rigged, even though more than likely a PlayStation first-party game's not going to win next year. So, or at the time of you watching this recording this year, of course. Let's move on, of course. What I want to do is have a time of reflection here. A time of reflection of stupid things that stupid fanboys and shills have said, and we just have to kindly remind everybody what's been said and what the current situation is. Now, as we go through Jez, now this is back from 2020, back in September 2020, feel bad for all the game journals publishing editorials about how Bethesda games will go multi-plat, completely ignoring the xCloud angle and the Xbox Series S as a companion console angle. Gonna be awkward when they all turn out to be wrong. Oh, Jez, man, what would you do? It's one of those scenarios. What would you do if you went back in the past and were able to talk to yourself? Would you slap yourself? Would you shake yourself a little bit, try to knock some sense into yourself a little bit? Or would you still continue to pull the wool over the eyes and make yourself feel better back then? I don't know, but I love how things just age like curdled milk, and not in the good way of cheese. But we're not done there from Mr. Jez as he continues on in that same thread, folks. Andy Kill, right here, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you on all of the Bethesda games being exclusive? Thinking emoji. People go to these individuals seeking answers, seeking guidance, seeking advice through their notoriety, through their opinions, as they're in the industry, so to speak, and they're around it, right? But he comes out with a very bold 10. He has 100% clarification in all the ins and people that he does know. He knows for a fact, folks, that back then it was a 10. So anything that Jez says today, take that with 100% fact, right? Same with cults. I mean, all these guys that continue to lie and just pretend to bring up that delusional world, speak it into existence. It surely won't happen, or certain things will happen for them. But here we are. As we continue here, Joe Real. You're right, it doesn't make sense to spend $7.5 billion on something just to keep it going towards your competition. Unless xCloud eventually ends up on Sony platforms, future AAA games that come from the acquisition will be exclusive to the Xbox Windows platforms. As we continue here, They sit there and kind of nurture each other, hold each other, kumbaya. It's going to be okay, guys. This is what's happening. Don't worry. Xbox is set for the future. Lo and behold, what's the Xbox future? Everything is now an Xbox. Fast forward another 4 years, everything is now considered an Xbox according to Microsoft themselves, right? Got to love it. Got to love it. But we're gonna add to this here real quick here. Now, as we continue, we do have good old Clute. Clute likes to make a continued representation of himself here. So, of course, this is back from not even too long ago, right? October earlier this year. And we're still hanging on to the exclusive narrative that nothing's happening, right? We got to have those receipts. The Outer Worlds 2 is 100% going to be exclusive, in my opinion. But at least he says my opinion, right? So Jez is out here factually stating stuff. Supposedly Clute's at least saying IMO, trying to be careful in the year of 2024. And single-player RPG like Starfield doesn't need to be multi-platform like live service MMOs. I'm not Jez. I'm not going to sit here and say 100% for a fact, but I have good feeling that if Starfield was going to be announced, it's going to be this year for other platforms. And by the other platforms, I mean PlayStation, the PlayStation 5, maybe even the Switch 2. I'm still waiting to see if we can get stuff working there. I mean, they obviously have certain games running off the cloud. It may not be, your ideal place to play these games, obviously. If anybody's tried any of the streaming cloud services that you stream the larger games that the Switch can barely handle, so they have to run it through the server, all that stuff. Not my prime choice to play it there, but to each their own. But again, I think circling around, we will have a good shot at Starfield coming to PlayStation, if not the Switch 2, depending. It's got to be announced this year. If everything's an Xbox and you can play those games anywhere, what's to stop them now? They're not going to just appease fanboys for Starfield when nobody cares, right? At this point. But again, I'm not going to say 100% for a fact. That's the thing. We sit here, and the thing I want to take away from all this, folks, is the fact that I've learned throughout multiple years, right? We can go all the way back to ADK, Activision, Blizzard, all that stuff. And we just have to learn. Instead of saying things that we don't know anything about, I don't like to speak on things I don't know about. I'm not going to speak on things I don't know about. I don't know the future for sure on certain aspects. But what I will tell you is what common sense is being used, what it looks like, but to keep an open mind, or this, that, and the other. To sit there and follow folks that sit there and straight up lie to your face, lie to their audience, pretend, build up that delusional world just to make each other feel better in the whole grand scheme of things, to make themselves not feel so, pitiful about sticking with a brand that's basically crapped all over them for multiple years, but they continue to do it. Stockholm Syndrome, all that stuff. But I digress. Let's keep going here as we go. So Snap Blast Play, he's going all over the place. He's going through the feels as well. As we continue here, when Xbox is releasing more first-party games on PlayStation 5 than PlayStation is themselves, Sony has a problem. So this is another way of coping. This is pure salt and copium to the nth degree, the highest degree. It's like that's the route you're gonna go. So that's the angle we're gonna go, is because Xbox is releasing more first-party games on PlayStation 5 than PlayStation is themselves, which may or may not be truthful. I'm not going to look up statistical pieces of this. Regardless, the games are still coming to PlayStation, and this is certainly a coping mechanism for him. But as we continue through him, he goes on later on stating, and I'm just going to pop this up here. Feel free to pause the video if you want to read the whole essay that he decided to type, because he's all in his feels about the direction of Xbox here. But I'll just, at the beginning here, I'll read a little bit and then we'll dissect it. But he goes on and on and on, right? As an Xbox console main, I have to accept I'm not just Microsoft's priority anymore, and as a customer, I've never felt less valued. I'm part of an ever-shrinking group of fans that are being ignored for bigger, diluted, but more profitable market segments, and on and on and on, right? I don't need to read the whole thing for you. He's basically going on, stating how he feels crapped on as a customer, as a consumer, as a supporter for many years. It is a shrinking and dying platform as far as exclusivity or, more of a closed ecosystem in regards to the console space, giving you a reason to have the console, right? So he's up in his feels. And for a minute there, you take a step back and you're like, man, maybe some of these guys, the shillest of shills, the biggest frauds of them all, they continue to do what they do. You take a step back and maybe they're seeing the light a little bit, right? Maybe it's finally starting to break through. Maybe they're finally starting to understand. I mean, at what point do you drop everything and be like, you know what, guys? A couple choices we have to make here. A, I know what's going on with Xbox here, so I'm going to stay with them regardless. You know what? I've been with them for years. I'm going to stay with them regardless. I just understand the situation. I understand the direction they're going in. The bed's been made. We got to lie in it. I'm fine with doing that for as long as I can, as long as there's a hardware main console, right? Without you having to be shifted over to the handheld Lenovo and all the other rumors that are coming up. That's one option. Or B, pretend that none of this is real and to go back on it. Now, I don't have the latest from Snap Blast Play on this one right here, but just rest assured, he's back to his ways of like, Xbox is the best, nothing's wrong, all this stuff. So they had a relapse of like, oh, reality hit. This ain't good, guys, and this sucks for us as Xbox fans. Like I've said, they've been crapping all over him for many, many years, and it's kind of getting through to a little bit. They're all in their feels. But they kind of relapse. Nope, Xbox is fine. He even bought a PlayStation 5, but he's still capping for Xbox. They don't care. So there's a difference. That's fine if you don't care, but stop the back and forth, man. Stop the back and forth and delusion. It's absolutely insanity at its finest. I say that time and time again, but what a great example, right? Let's keep on going. Speaking of receipts here, I do want to throw up one more receipt here. This is from good old Estal. And this is about a little over a year ago, right, at this point. But he was very sure as well, right? Has a lot of followers, have a lot of folks that believe in the things he says. He has spaces on X. He has all sorts of commentary to be given. There's no PS5 Pro, as you can see here from him. There's no PS5 Pro. Hopium, copium, all that stuff, because he knew that having a PlayStation 5 Pro would generate more hype for the PlayStation ecosystem. We got camps from Xbox, we got camps from PC elitists that sit there and are very upset at how powerful the PlayStation 5 Pro is and the fact that PlayStation users have the option to get a PlayStation 5 Pro. Not that you have to get it or you must have it in order to play the newest games. You don't. Very upset about the fact that you get more stable frame rate, you get PSSR, you get all sorts of stuff. Not a good time for them, but again, the receipts are there. The hopium, the copium, the salt, I mean, they're just melting into themselves. I cannot imagine how many walls they're putting holes in or how much air they're punching at this point in time. I can only imagine. Now, we have a little survey from Jez, and I'll let you know the results here. I'm not going to show the results, I'll be honest and tell you the results here. But as you can see, are you thinking about leaving Xbox? He asked a couple weeks ago, right? We have the options of yes, soon, maybe, waiting to see, no, already left. Now, him being an Xbox fraud and shill and fanboy, what do you think his audience is going to pick? I'm not going to lie to you guys, right? I'm not going to sit there and be like, already left. Or maybe waiting to see, or yes, soon. Most of them picked no. His audience mostly picked no. So they're going to be riding that ship until it's sunk and you got the white flag and all that stuff, right? It's over. It's over. His audience in particular are going to ride that ship until the end, and that's on them. You know what I mean? That's on them. More power to you. But it is what it is at this point. I mean, you're going to be looking at third-party hardware manufacturers. It's honestly kind of crazy, and those rumors are starting to look more and more true. Ultimately, we will have to wait and see until that official word is out, but ultimately, that's how it is, right? Can't say more than that, but yeah, most of them are saying no. And by most of them, I mean like 60-some%, maybe almost 70 last time I checked. So again, the majority are saying no, but believe you me, there's some that are waiting to see quite a bit. I think that got up to a pretty substantial amount, but again, mostly no. So it is what it is. They're trying to console each other. They're in that room of consolation of each other, consolidation. I can't even say the word right now, but you know what I mean. I don't know what else to do aside from them being pictured sitting around a very nice campfire, roasting their s'mores, their hot dogs, and just being like, it's going to be okay. You remember the days of old? You remember the days of the Xbox 360 when the worst thing that we had to worry about was the red ring of death, and we just kind of brushed that under the table or under the rug because, well, they had games. They had games, so we could brush it under the table, but there is a reason that PlayStation 3 eventually outsold them. The games and not red ring of death, but I digress. Now, something else I just want to end the video on real quick here is, for those of you that don't understand the dire straits of Xbox, or if somebody's coming in, or we got quite a bit of haters that come onto the channel, right? But this is from you, straight from Matt Piscatella here. November video game hardware spending was flat when compared to a year ago at $927 million. Obviously, we're halfway through the console life cycle, just a little over halfway, right? 15% spending growth on PlayStation 5 hardware was offset by a 29% year-on-year drop in Xbox Series spending and a 3% decline in Switch, which Switch, not a big deal, 3%, oh wow. Obviously, the announcement of the Switch 2 and stuff like that, they're going to go boom, maybe break some more records and sales. That's just the way most of the time Nintendo does their things, aside from the Wii U. However, the biggest point is a decline. 29%. I mean, folks, I don't see, and I haven't been hearing anything substantial in regards to COD and what it did for the platform. Odds are, and from the looks of things, it didn't do super great, but we'll have to wait for any official word that's very hard to come from. We get our words from like Matt Piscatella and a few other industry insiders that have knowledge of those sales and stuff like that. Xbox even rarely comes out. Phil Spencer rarely comes out and states actual numbers. They play with numbers and words and stuff like that. So we kind of have to wait on these sorts of things. So again, like I said in multiple videos, we are going to have to probably wait till about March or so before we see what COD really did for the Xbox ecosystem and as a brand and as a hardware is concerned, right? In regards to the consoles themselves, did it push any? Did it do anything else? It's just not looking like it right now. But again, I'm not going to lie to you guys and say 100% like, oh, it's total failure and all this. We don't know yet. It's not looking like it did much, but we'll have to wait and see. I am very curious of that. But again, we still have a positive for PlayStation spending growth, right, in regards to some things. And PlayStation 5 Pro did generate enough buzz and enough sales to give some sort of a profit there as well. So it's doing very well. Those that do have a PlayStation 5 Pro are very happy with it, and it's doing well, like I said. So it's going to be a very interesting 2025 in regards to Xbox in general, as far as what they're doing, their general direction, how that Xbox is everything and everywhere type of mentality and marketing and everything like that is going to look, and how that shifts. So we'll be along for the ride. We're going to be here for plenty of the salt, the copium from the fanboys and shills, right? So I love to see it. I know y'all love to see it. We'll wrap up the video here. I appreciate you all sticking around for the entirety of the video. Again, thank you all so much. If you haven't already, definitely leave a like, comment down below. Would love to hear from you. In addition to that, that also does help out the algorithm. And of course, if you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself. Again, we are moving ever towards that 3,000 sub goal. Thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate your support. Could not do it without you. I mean it totally and truly. So thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and we will see you next time on the next Xvault gaming video. And just remember, don't be a salty batch. Take care.